Hello, everyone, and welcome back to 1000 Gurus. Today's guest is Ray Lee.
Hello.
Yay! Cool. Audience applause. All right, Ray, thanks for being here. I really appreciate it. I
Thanks
know
for
it's like,
inviting.
yeah, I know it's last minute, but I'm excited to have you on as my first game and entertainment design artist, concept
Yes.
artist.
Yes.
Yeah, there's like a lot of different words in there, so I don't want to mess it
Mm,
up, but you'll know what it is by the end of this. So I just want to go into first how I know you. So we met through our mutual friend Shasia, your former housemate, who also helps manage social media for my channel. So shout out to Shasia. And so we've known each other for I want to say over a year, less than two,
yeah.
something like that. And then you graduated from Otis last year, and you
Yes.
invited all of us, all of my dance team, to your art showcase, which was really
Mm,
great to see everyone else's stuff too, and then see the
mhm.
school. And then you sometimes help out, come to our filmings for our dance team and stuff like that.
Yes.
So we appreciate having you there. Any other clarifications you want to add or
Well,
anything
I
like
mean,
that?
it's pretty straightforward. Yeah, I just really feel grateful to be here today. And then, whenever I offer you guys to be stop by my like art show, you guys been there. So, yeah, I just feel really grateful.
Nice. Cool. All right. So, first topic, if we just want to jump straight into it, is origin story, which is normally what I go into first. So, this one, I kind of want to ask you for the audience. Main topic is, where you grew up, main influences, catalysts that led you down the path to work as a concept artist in the
Mm,
gaming and entertainment industry. Um, so basically, just to connect the dots from,
right.
like the main things that influenced you growing up to where you are now. Do you want
Mm,
to share with the audience?
yeah, sure. I was born in South Korea in Seoul, which is the biggest city in Korea, and I lived there until I was first grade. And I had the opportunity to move to China in Nanjing with my family because my dad was had the work opportunity over there in his company, and that's how I start to being exposed to the a lot of cultural diversities and also different people outside of the Korea. And that's how I start to get a little bit interest in the art. I was just like
Mm.
normal kids, just tall, just have no thoughts. But somehow the art, especially like Mac design, which is like a robot design, is grabbing towards to me to I want to do this kind of design
Mm.
or drawing, but I have no idea to how to approach it in a professional way. So I was just have a like simple idea of I want to be a just creating the robot. So that's how I start to aiming to the concept artist in the end. But it has a little bit of the journey. So I started with like thinking about should I be an engineer? Because I was a kid, I don't have any knowledge. So I was like, oh sure, I was just trying to look for the engineer. So I was a little bit studying a little bit math stuff in middle school and high school, and I realized when I was trying to apply to the university, engineer is not really meant for designing. It was meant for the functionality.
Mm.
So I found it out there is an industrial design major that actually design the external design and actually think about the functionality at the same time. So that's how I start to getting more serious about the art when I was in high school. I think it was around freshman year. And also that was the time I also got back to Korea
Mm.
because I think because of the family situation, so we ended up staying in China almost 7 to 8 years in total,
Mm.
and then moved back to Korea. And that's how I start to be more study about my future and what I want it to be. And that's how I start to know about the industrial design in high school. Then I went to different after school studio to practice and learning about the industrial design. But actually the Korea art college entrance or university is pretty much different than in the States
Mhm.
because they require the student to take the exam, which is 4 hours. It will probably different than nowadays,
Mm.
and they always give a kind of topic, and you have to render the image exactly same with a slight bit of the composition, with the limited amount of the the medium, art medium they provide, which will be a postcolor or watercolor, color pencil. That's pretty much it. So it was really boring, to be
Mhm.
honest. I didn't really love to practice, but I have the goal that I want to be like designing the robot. So I thought this is like a stepstone for me to
Mm.
get over it. So I was like investing a lot of time to be like, pass the exam. But unfortunately, when it's the time I took the test, I got on the wait list on the college, and I couldn't make it in the final. So that was the time I was like already made my mind. I should like study abroad if I have a chance. So
Mhm.
I was having a discussion with my parents, and I was thankfully my parents allowed me to like prepare the board like art colleges in the States, which is like oldest college that I graduated. And there's another like great art college called the Art Center College. So I was applied those to like college in the end, and I got accepted both of them. But I realized I have a mandatory military service as
Mm.
a Korean citizenship. So I was like, you know what? I will go to the oldest because it's close to the airport, and they have a dorm.
Mm.
That was pretty like simple
Oh,
reason.
I see.
Yeah, and that's how I went. Like ended up going to the oldest, other than the art center,
Mm.
and I was like pretty enjoyed the freshman year, like in oldest, because it was everything was so new,
Yeah.
and I was being by myself, first time in my life, and I'm only like pursuing art and art related like classes. I think that was like kind of for me is like a playground.
Mm.
So
So then, like so going from from when you were younger,
mm,
it seemed like you were always kind of drawn to like art and not so much like you said like engineering or like functionality, but more like
mm,
design.
right.
Like, what do you think? You think that's just kind of how your brain works? You're like, oh, really want to like create art as opposed to like more of a science sort of major.
Yeah, I think because whenever I see the like car design outside on the street,
Mhm.
or some kind of like a gadget that we are using
Mm.
for like fixing something,
Yeah, yeah.
I just like thinking about this design looks very cool. Like,
Mm.
but I want to like break it down in a logical way, and
Mm.
I want to make it my style. That's how I start to get like
Oh, I
interest
see.
in, and
So it's
then
like you're always
digging in.
intrigued with like design of different things.
Right.
Oh, that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Mhm.
So then you said so you said you went to Otis. Was that before your military service?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So then you went to Otis and then military and then you came back to Otis?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. I always thought and so Otis was is it considered undergraduate or
Yes, they are
gotcha. Okay.
considered.
So you did undergraduate for how long at Otis?
4 year.
4 years and then you did military for 2 years?
Yes, 2 year, and then plus with the 1 year of the pandemic, COVID.
Oh, right, right.
Yeah.
Oh, and then you came back for like a
Right.
graduate program, or was it like a
No, it's
continuation?
almost like continuing the
Okay, okay.
undergrad program.
Mm.
So I finished my freshman year before the military.
Yeah.
Then I got back as the sophomore year to
Oh,
like
okay.
finish my BFA like program.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how many years is that? Like,
Total?
yeah, total.
Like you mean including the military?
Oh, I guess if you
Years?
subtract the military, how much is school?
Oh, just 4.
Okay, so
Yeah.
four total. Okay,
Hmm.
okay, gotcha. So you just finished the 4 years.
Right.
I wanted to ask. So maybe this isn't or maybe not a lot of people who are listening to this
Hmm.
know what Korean military service is like.
Yes.
I mean, we hear about it. I guess my friends and I we know that we follow K-pop artists or
Hmm.
and they have their military service, and that's kind of like a deadline for them to like do their entertainment stuff in the
Hmm.
military. So I don't know if you can give like an overview or a TLDR of like what Korean military service is like, and then
Hmm.
maybe how that affected you or how that affected your career, if at all, or just give us a look into what it's like.
I think overall the military service gave me a life lesson to how to like adjust myself in a very different environment that I don't want it to be.
Mhm.
Like keep getting exposed to the community or the people. They are not really like you, but we have to like stick together for like
Mm.
2 years.
Like working with different people, different
Exactly.
environments.
So it actually like taught me a lot of different types of like social skills to like working with the other people in a different like situation and the background, because inside the military It doesn't matter where you were before or like what's your like job before.
Mhm.
It
Your
doesn't matter.
background, yeah.
Yeah,
Everyone's just even, like equal.
exactly. Everyone's like same. I think that was a unique experience for me to understand like person to person. That was a really great like point of view me to like having in my life right now. So actually that helps me to start to understand myself a little bit more because whenever I interact with the like limited amount of people, I can see the pattern of my actions
Mm,
and my thoughts. So that actually give me a kind of signal, I'll say, to tell me like, oh, this is your one of the bad like character. You should like they don't like point it out, but they will say in a different way.
mm,
But I have to filter out to like understand, oh, this is the one that I need to like figure out by myself.
mm,
But honestly, it took me a lot of time. Like I think I realized in the end of the almost end of the military service, like in the beginning and the middle, I was more like into myself, like a little bit more self-centered. So I was like, it's kind of like weird to hearing this from like people around me. And I don't want to be here. But I realized if I have more negative mindset, I can do anything outside of the military too. So I figure out to be keep myself busy in the military because military means like everything is unified and you have to do the same like work hour and everything. But there's always way you could like sign up for like individual like, contests that you want. Like for example, I participate on like creating the idea about the military like mobile application like contest ideas stuff. I also did that by myself, so I actually had a little bit more extra time to study and
mm.
also
Oh, in the military.
yeah in the military.
Oh, okay.
So they actually provide you those type of like opportunity.
Opportunities, yeah.
You can like work by yourself
Mm,
or you actually volunteer to like going for like translating the English for some of the events inside the military.
mm,
Yeah, I think that kind of helps me to keep it busy inside.
yeah.
Other than I just regret myself to be inside the military and then just like spending time as like how not every people, but some of people who spend just like it feels like regretful way.
Mm.
Yeah,
Kind of like they're wasting time or something.
right. They just like spending their day what other people told to do.
Oh, I
Yeah.
see. Is it, would you say it's hmm, difficult? I don't know what it's like. I know there's like a military, it seems like physical component, right? Like
Mm,
maybe you need to be in shape and athletic to a certain degree, but also
right.
there's a lot of like like you said, uniform stuff. Maybe you're doing like I
Mm,
don't know, office administrative type stuff. I don't know
yeah.
what that's like, but
F- of course, everyone have their own like assigned position.
yeah.
For me, I was originally signed up as the culinary like specialist. So I was supposed to be like participate on cooking for everyone in my base.
Oh, I see.
But since my background was kind of unique, so one of my officer offered me to go to the different like position temporarily inside the base. That kind of allows so you can like a little bit twist it, even if it's like
Mm,
you already have assigned position.
yeah.
So I was work
Oh,
as a
so they kind of like they assign you sort of based on what your background is, or
yeah.
okay, okay, gotcha.
They can like use some of the people for in a like it's kind of weird to say better way, but it's more like on their like using their skills
Right,
to
like a more effective use of that person.
yeah, and then participate on their like base
Mm,
performance and everything.
yeah.
So I was assigned as the one of like human resource specialist.
Oh, okay.
So I can actually manage the document and plus sometimes I get the opportunity to like doing the English translate for some of the military band that I can be like speak out loud, but yeah, those kind of
Mm,
stuff.
yeah, of course, of
Mm,
course.
yeah.
Um, quick like backtrack tangent, but you said you lived in China for like 6 years.
Yeah, almost like six,
Oh, I see.
seven.
Do you speak Chinese or Mandarin or something?
Not anymore as how I
Okay,
was used to be.
so you did a little bit
Yeah,
back then. Okay,
just like the same. Like it's like more you can.
like
It's like
get
a middle
around.
school
Okay,
ish
okay,
like
yeah, yeah.
level.
Like maybe conversational, but like just get around, sort of basic.
Yeah, or for just studying purpose. Because
Yeah.
when I was in international school in China,
Mm,
they have like a mandatory like classes every an hour to take a Chinese class.
mm,
So we have to study and take exam. So luckily I could like expose to more Chinese to learn like in a better way. But after I like left to China, I had less time to like speak or study about it.
Mhm.
Also, I didn't have the passion to like keep the language level.
Right, right, right.
But right now, I can only like listen and like have a little bit of the speaking level that I can like bare minimum of like traveling around the
Mm.
China. Yeah.
So you can at least understand when people are talking.
Yeah.
Gotcha. That's cool.
Mhm.
Okay, so it's time to pivot a little bit, or at least go into now the meat of the conversation, which is your expertise, which is game and entertainment design. I know just to connect it, you mentioned what you learned from military is like adapting and being in different environments, and then a whole nother topic could be like you moving to the states and kind of adapting to that. And we've talked personally about like that experience.
Mm.
But now you are in the game and entertainment design industry, and one of the topics you wanted to talk about was kind of what the field is like, what you've learned, what is it like being an international Korean student, and then breaking into the industry. Are there any parts of that you want to start with first?
Well, I can start with the like as a student like point of view.
Yeah.
So, of course, this industry is very challenging for everyone, including me, because game entertainment design industry require the artist to be a almost semi-perfect like general artist because it involves the fashion design knowledge, graphic design, and some of the industrial design, transportation design, product design. So and plus with the like little bit of the illustrations. So everything has to be like
Mm.
merged in one spot.
It's like a combination of all those different knowledge bases.
Exactly.
That's crazy actually. Now that you put it that way, I'm like,
Yeah.
wait, you do need to know all those. You can't just I like to color. But it's like,
Right?
no, you have to know design for a lot of different things.
Exactly. So
Mm,
you have to like understand the art aspect and
yeah.
the design aspect at the same time to create your work. So that's why this industry has the like really high bar. Of course, other industry also have the high bar, but for this one is like it's pretty tough for the art students to like actually aiming for becoming a professional artist. And I think as a Korean, like as a Korean male for sure, not the female people,
Mhm.
but we have to consider about the mandatory military service because a lot of people go to art college, art college in the abroad, like around their 20s. So most of people didn't figure out their military service. So we have to like a little bit like set up the plan. Do I want to like pursue my career in the States
Mm,
or do I want to just go back to Korea to pursue my career? So I think that's how we begin.
mm.
So probably there are people who just want to go back after they earn their degree. Or there's people wanted to like gain the experience and looking for the future opportunity more in the States. So for me was like the second one. So after I choose that path, um, I have to try to make some of the connection. Thankfully, I had the big opportunity to met my current mentor who taught me all the skill and all the knowledge to like build my art skill where am I at right now. So I think that was the biggest like kind of help for me to get into this industry in a very like smooth way because and otherwise we have to like spend a lot of time to find out the mentor or find out the people who are in the industry to get some of the information that is very like crucial before you actually like preparing yourself to be like wanted to be a concept artist.
Mm. So like there's a high bar. I'm just rephrasing everything. So there's a very
Mhm.
high bar. It's very difficult to break into. And then as a Korean international student or a Korean male, Korean citizen, you have to consider your long term sort of career path, how you want to deal with that. But also, you're mentioning that having a mentor was huge for you to guide you through that process because it's so challenging and difficult
Right.
and to get you to where you are now.
Mm.
Cool.
Yeah. And I think after I met my mentor, it was everything was pretty like I'll say it's not easy, but everything was like not like blind spot for me. Like I know where I should go
Mm. So
based
there's
on what he already like went through.
right. So there's clarity. It's not easy,
Mm.
but yeah, at least you have an idea of where to go.
Yeah, exactly.
I was gonna ask, like, yeah, what are some of the biggest takeaways you learned from your mentor to
Mm.
breaking into the industry?
I think the constancy of practicing myself the art skill, and plus with you take care of yourself well. I think those two aspects is very important as the artist, because even if you even if I participate on the commercial art base, still it's a art. So it also like impact by the our like emotions and our thoughts. So we need a good like amount of the mind controlling. So I think that aspect I learned a lot from him while I'm like having a mentorship class with him. And then he also like gave me a feedback, which is like actually he can tell through my like practice assignment that I like how I was thinking and how I felt in that way. So yeah, I think that's why I think those two like mindset is very important.
Mm. So you said consistency, so like continuously practicing and like building your art and getting better,
Right.
but also you said taking care of yourself is important.
Yes.
Like in taking care of yourself in what way?
More like do not doubt about yourself. You
Okay.
know,
Okay.
that is very important for everyone for sure. But when you doubt yourself a lot as the artist, you start to like kind of forget about like how to draw.
Mm.
It's kind of weird experience.
Mm.
And then people call that as like art block.
It's like it's a block, like a mind block and
Exactly.
writer's block, like
Yeah.
choreo block, every block, right?
Mm. Like all people who are participating in the art like aspect have those like struggling experience.
Mhm.
So if you wanted to prevent that, you have to like take care of yourself. Oh, it's just you're at the moment of like trying to get better, and then it is hard to see the progress, the result of the progress, like right after you practice. So you have to like keep trusting yourself that you will get in better, but keep aware that it's like, am I going in the right direction or not? So that's why like having a mentor was a great like experience for me.
Mm. So my question was, maybe you answered it, but like
Mm,
how does someone overcome that self-doubt? And so I think you just said
right.
it's having the faith that you're, trusting yourself,
Mm,
but also that going kind of getting guidance that you're going the right direction, but
right.
also reflecting and also taking care of yourself, I guess in general.
Mm.
Is there anything else that you would recommend on how to eliminate that self-doubt or keep moving forward?
I think you have to trying to find out your way to get rid of the stress,
Oh, okay.
because a lot of people have a different way to like get rid of the stress, right?
Right.
Some people like to go for dancing class, even if they're artists, or some people like to go for hiking or running or just walking outside on the street. For me, I like to walking around the street because that kind of helps me to tracking down my like emotion. I think I learned this knowledge from one of like the book. I forgot what it was, but it was talking about the Scandinavian people
Mhm.
are used to go for a walk when they get emotional,
Mm.
and then they just keep walking until they feel like their emotion is settled. And once they feel like their emotion is settled, they turn back and then walking back exactly how they walk.
Oh, so the same path
Yeah.
until they're done.
Hmm.
They're like now then they turn around and do the whole
Right.
thing back. Gotcha.
And so you can like reflect yourself. Why did I feel this so much like
Mm.
angry, or why did I feel so struggle? I think that helps me to go for a walk in that aspect.
Mm. Okay. I want to kind of go back to I think you already gave a lot of good advice in general, like as an artist, how to kind of overcome those blocks and stuff like that. Do you have any specific advice that you've learned or insights along the way that helped you to break into the industry? Or I know you mentioned preparing a concept art portfolio. Maybe what has helped you the most, or what is one big advice you'd give to someone who wants to like break into the industry?
I think that's really a good question. For me, I think one important thing that I can like mention in the beginning will be trying to find your motivation to want it to become concept artist. Do you really want it to be a concept artist, or are you just pursuing the unicorn of like yourself of like being an artist? Because I think this is what I heard from people in the industry that there's like two students if they have to teach. Like they said, the first one will be have like great amount of gifted, and they're good at like working, like practicing everything, but they don't have motivation.
Mm.
But the second student has the huge motivation, but doesn't have any skill. And surprisingly, they will take the second student because the motivation is the where no one could like make them to be like motivated to keep pursuing the art career by themselves. So that's why I think trying to find out your like core motivation, why you want to be a concept artist in the game industry, then I think you could find a way to get to the professional level in a different like path.
I like that a lot. So self-awareness, know what
Exactly.
motivates you, know why you're in the industry,
Mm.
and that'll take you far. And if not, you're like, wait, maybe I'm not motivated. Maybe I should
Yeah.
try to pivot somewhere else.
Mm.
I think that's really good advice. Anything else on? So the next topic that I want to pivot to is the impact of AI on game and entertainment design industry. But any other last thoughts on just in general, like breaking into the industry or any lessons that you learned you want to touch on?
I think the one of the big lesson is you have to be proactive once you are about to get graduated, or even if you're in the college year, trying to get keep touch with your like not only the school people, you're trying to go through the LinkedIn like professional website or ArtStation, which is professional like community for the concept artists or animation industry people. You could like visit there and then trying to comment on their work, or you can like send a private message to them to get it like understand about what's going on in the industry. Most of people will be like friendly. Some people are very busy, so they will probably forget to like respond it to you back. But don't get discouraged. Trying to be like proactive and be nice to people out there, because even to your like friends next to you in the college, because in the end, you don't know your friends will work like in the different industry, or maybe your friends can get the job faster than you, so they might like have the recommendation to you later. So that's why the connection is the key point.
Mm. So persistence in finding those opportunities, being proactive, but also building your networks, be nice, don't burn bridges, obviously,
Mm,
because you never know where that one connection could like open a door opportunity for you.
exactly.
Nice. I like it. All right. So now moving on to AI. So, like I mentioned before we started recording, is let's assume that maybe most people don't really know the impacts or what AI is in art, and on specifically on your industry. Maybe a general exposure to AI is, oh, now we're seeing all these weird AI generated, art images online, and obviously that's kind of directly in your industry, right? Because you do design art. I wanted to ask the first question is, could you like paint a picture, I guess pun intended,
Mhm.
for what the industry looks like or what AI is? How does that look like in your industry?
I think it's, of course, everyone will have a different like thoughts, but what I hear from my people in the industry and what I like experience, it's more um like 60-40, like 60 for people who are trying to keep the like human actually like participating on creating the pre-production work, which is like concept art, and like 40 is like we should adapt as part of the tools
Oh,
to
I
like
see.
reduce the amount of the time that we have to like spend on the
Mm.
pre-production time, so we can like actually make a better quality and better work. I think that's the two like opinion right now in the industry.
That makes a lot of sense. So it's, I guess if I'm understanding this correctly, let's say the 40% is saying like, well, we have scientific calculators. Might as well use it to help with the process of the pre-production design work.
Right.
But you're saying 60% are like, no, let's keep AI out of it and
Mm.
let's keep the human side of it for the pre-production work. Um, where I don't know, where do you personally fall on that? Like, do you think that it's more of a hindrance or do you think it would help for art?
I think it depends on the situation, because the reason why a lot of people are doubt about the AI, like open resources, like those systems, because they can actually paint and then creating a different like a visual reference for creating like one game. However, they cannot reach to the level of like actually designing or creating the design variation for
Mm,
the certain like NDA like game IP. That's what like a lot of people think about because we can purchase the database from like OpenAI resource company because it's meant for open.
mm.
So it's hard to keep it as NDA because eventually the machine will expose in a sort of way to the public when everyone's are using it in the same
Gotcha.
database.
So like the NDA art side of it, like the ownership of like that art is compromised by using like AI in that sort of sense, like the
Hmm.
open source.
Right.
Um, I guess that makes a lot of sense because I was gonna ask like what are the downsides of using AI
Mm.
for like the pre-production work? Anything else on like how it's currently affecting the industry? So you said there's two schools of thought,
Mm.
but how I guess how does that affect you as someone in the industry or people going into the industry? Like what are the main considerations for how it's shifting?
I think since the one of the strong like tools, the new tool which is like AI, has a great like painting skill, which means for the art concept artist, it's required you have better painting quality like than the AI
Than the AI.
because AI will quickly paint it for you like a mood painting, but you have to paint on top of the AI painting to finalize the painting in the end, and then including your design language inside. So I think that also brings up the bar more higher than before. That's why it's more tough for getting a job out there. And especially for, a lot of game company run by the different investor. And I think a lot of investors trying to invest like the budget during the COVID season because a lot of people can't go outside.
Mm.
So most of the people looking for a way to like spending their time inside like their house. So a lot of people actually play a lot of different games. So that's how the business people might thought it will be a great idea to like invest the money to like earn the profit. But in the end, after like the COVID pandemic goes down a little bit and people started going back to where they were before, now it's like for them it's like kind of question mark. And then plus with the AI like just got off from the public, and now they think that the game takes like almost like 6 years to develop to make a triple A game quality. Is it worth it to like investing so much money on the artists or pre-production people to create the one like triple A title game? So I think that's why there's less job market, and also it requires a lot of skill, and that ended up have doesn't have a lot of junior position or mid-level position in the game industry.
Oh, I see. So the skill level or the bar for skill is higher, so there's less job opportunities. But also, like you said, the gaming industry shrank after COVID, after all the investors. I had a friend on Lyndon who was on episode 6 talking about the game industry and how it was like, yeah, COVID, all the investors are putting money into the gaming industry, and then after it died out, it's like shrunk up a bit.
Yeah.
And so you're saying like the bar is higher, but there's also less
Mm.
money into it. So I guess what considerations would you give for someone who's interested in going into the industry?
Mm.
I know you're saying that it's a higher bar, so definitely be prepared to learn more skills, be even
Right.
better. You
Mhm.
have to in order to break in. Any other considerations for people who want to be in the industry?
Yeah, I think it connects to the dot where I said before. It's like you need the constancy and your motivation, which means you have to spend a lot of time on practicing the fundamental art skills to actually creating your own like art portfolio. Because in the end, you might like love to do a certain like game IP that you wanted to work in that game studio. However, you need to learn about like the fundamental art skills, which is illustration skill, design skills. That has to be like very fluent, like inside your body. So it's kind of like muscle memory. So you don't have to be struggle every time you're doing the new project. You have to be always like ready to go. So I think that's why the consistency and your motivation is the key point to prepare yourself to like, apply for the job in the industry right now.
Okay. So consistency and motivation, but also like patience too, because I'm sure it'll take a long time
Oh, yeah,
to break
absolutely.
in. I mean, you could get lucky, obviously, but
Mm.
it's crazy through this conversation. I'm realizing now that as much as people say, like art and science or like technical and artistic, industries, but it seems like your industry is very much also very technical because there's so many things you need to learn about it. You can't just pick up a paintbrush and just make something. It's there's also so much that goes into it, especially in your industry. So I feel like there, I don't know, I feel like there should be a deep appreciation for that. But not only that, but if you're using AI as a tool for that work, it is like at least half technical, you know what I mean?
Mm,
Which is kind of crazy, but I guess that my thoughts are that it would I ideally make the industry better, I guess as an end product for a consumer, but I'm just thinking out loud about okay, that's crazy because the bar is getting higher, there's better tools, so maybe you can be more efficient, but I guess as someone in the industry, you're like, okay, well, it's also harder, but you can break in, you just have to be consistent and
right.
whatnot, motivated.
I think um, as the current like kind of junior level of the concept artist, I think you have to be a very strong about your fundamental art skill again, because in the end, like some of the major company are attempt to using the AI program to like develop their own game IP, but that means are you are ready to like paint over on the AI's work to make it better than AI? That's the big like assignment for the current like concept artists. So most of like mid and senior level people are already like prepared. It's like part of their job, so it's not a big of like issue for them. Of course, they will get a lot of stress because they get less appreciated about their work. Because even if they have a really good amount of the good like quality and plus with the speed of the work, a lot of people like on the top side, people who are deciding the business and everything will think that why is it taking so long?
Mm,
Like, can you make it a little bit more faster?
yeah,
Because
save
everyone
us
could
more
know,
money.
yeah, everyone could know like each people's like story. So that's why I think it's yeah, just better to be like better than the AI.
Yeah.
It is hard, but once you focusing on the fundamental art skills, there will be always way you to get better. But I think that's the most like challenging part for everyone, for as the junior level people.
I see. All right. Anything else on the impact of AI in game and entertainment design industry, or any considerations for the audience, or even in general for breaking in? Again, there might be people out there who are like really intrigued and they want to break in, but now it's like um, the advice is, hey, it's hard,
Right.
but work on your foundational art skill, obviously, because that's very important as an artist. So I don't want to make it sound so bleak, but I mean that's just the reality of it,
Yeah.
right? Any other insights that you or topics or insights you want to touch on in there that you feel like is important?
I think if I break it down a little bit precise like way, I'll say so since if you decide to be a like concept artist in the game industry, then you have to find out like kind of big two thing. One is like it's kind of like a little bit easy way to say, but like your not your art style, like what kind of stylization of the work that you want to pursue in your portfolio. For example, for me, I like to do my little bit like cute and chibi, which is kind of Japanese term. It's like really small size, like SD characters, like environment or like character or prop design for the mobile game industry. That's the one of the stylization. And the one is like a lot of people will know like Riot Games, Blizzard Entertainment, like the game style, like graphical style, is the kind of like a semi-realistic. We count as a semi-realistic stylization. And then after the hyper-realistic one is like a Call of Duty
Mm,
or like Naughty Dogs like games.
yeah.
Those like three is the thing that you have to decide which one you are more interested. And if you choose one from there, it'll be all depends. If you choose the Riot Games or Blizzard Entertainment like art style or the mobile game art style, you have to be really good at like handling like digital paint.
Mm,
So which requires a lot of fundamental art skills. That will be just bare minimum. So which is kind of unfair for the junior level artists because junior level, which means like you can have opportunity to learn from the work environment, but this environment is always like fast paced environment. So it requires you to be ready to go candidate.
mm,
So I think that's the key part. And if you wanted to go to like Naughty Dog or more hyper realistic, like a filming style, then you have to understand about how to edit the photo. They call it as a photo bashing
Oh, I see.
skills.
Yeah.
So basically, you still need the fundamental art skill again,
Mhm.
but you know how to like manipulate all different type of like photo that you find on the online, and you make a one like object. It could be a character, it could be an environment, it could be a props. It depends on what you're working, but that's the another path that you have to choose. So that's like how you break down the strategy
Mm.
in the end, and then that's how you will create your portfolio based on that path.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
So it is like a choose your character, choose your career path, and you kind of go down that career path. But there's, like you said, the three sort of major areas.
Yeah.
Then you pick that sort of pathway, design, style,
Mm.
and then you kind of figure out there's different skill sets. But like you said, your foundational art skills are important. But along the path, you kind of have learn kind of deviate different skill sets as well.
Yes.
Gotcha. It's interesting. I didn't know that, but that makes a lot of sense. Um, cool. Anything else before we go on to rapid fire questions?
Mm.
Last little tidbits of nuggets you feel like would be
I
useful?
think I just hope people don't get like easily give up.
It's too late. They're already quit. They change majors.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, this Ray
Yeah.
dude. I'm changing my major as a first year.
It's just like if you have a good enough of the motivation, then you will get there. But it is tough. Like it is tough for me right now because I also work as digital art teacher right now. I'm not like directly working in the game industry, but I'm still seeking for the opportunity. But I just like put myself out there trying to get like close to exposed to the game industry. Of course, education, art education and the game is definitely a different field, but it's like you expose yourself to doing the art as your it could be a part-time or it could be a contract, still working on the art, but on the side, trying to enjoy what you're working, like your art, practicing by yourself. Because once you get out from the school, of course, you have all the freedom,
Yeah.
but there is a where you get tested by yourself. Like, are you willing to be a
Yeah.
artist? Did you really have that motivation as
Motivation.
before? Yeah.
You motivated to go out there now that you're on your own?
Mhm.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, that's good. I appreciate that, especially hammering home like the main ideas you're saying, which is like what's your motivations and or can you be consistent enough? Okay, ready for rapid fire?
Yeah.
Nice. This is the fun part. All right, so first question, billboard question. If you could put up a sign for millions of people to see, what would it say?
It's kind of difficult question for me.
Hire me. Just kidding.
I mean, honestly, that works too.
Of
To be
course.
honest,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
love it. Like, want it to work. So,
Sure. Yeah.
yeah,
Is that you can that can be your answer if you want. And then a picture of your face with chibi character
yeah. My portfolio
your
website.
portfolio
Yeah,
website,
hyperlink.
like or like a QR code. Just scan
Yes.
here. Nice, cool. We'll go with that then.
Mhm.
What is one of the hardest challenges you faced in your life, and what did you learn from it?
I think having a decision whenever you take a big step, it could be not a big step. When I turn it back and look around, it was a part of the journey. I think the way I decide myself to should I finish the high school in China as the like as the international like a student, or do I want it to go back to Korea, which is totally different like education environment, more intense. Asian like education system is more intense. So and then you have a actual like a true friend. What I mean by true friend is like when I was like in China, everyone's from like different country. So eventually you don't have like a actual friends you can see them often or later after you graduate the school. It's more like everyone's living their own life in a
Right,
different
it's like a
country.
little temporary sort of.
Yeah. And it will be very like hard to like keep in touch each other, even if we have like social media and
Right.
everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's why I decided to go to high school in Korea, other than I just like pursuing to finish the high school program in China. And then I actually earned a lot of friendship and then experience how to like being in an intense like education environment to be survived, which is have a mentality. I think like whenever something is like hits on me, I have like I can be like ready myself to be okay. This is the moment. So let's take a deep breath and then let's
Mm.
go for it. I think those mindset that will like,
Oh, so
actually help me.
challenges helped you build
Yeah.
that mindset. Gotcha. Um, Next one is self-inflicted wound. Do you have a story about something that's gone wrong in your life that's your own fault and you can't blame anyone because you did it to yourself?
I think right now I don't feel like too embarrassed anymore. But when I was in China, I couldn't even speak any English at all. Like at all. Like I couldn't even spell alphabet in the order. So I was very like numbed and like overwhelmed in the new environment. And I think at the time, like racisms and a lot of like unfortunate thing was kind of I would say semi like default. It was not a, like a major issue as how it is right now. So the school was counting me as like, oh, this student has language disorder. So
Mm.
we have to put this student to the special class, like special care needs student class. But I think the approach was very like awkward for me, even if I think about it right now. Because whenever we finish the homeroom like time, they call me out in front of the student, and then they take me to the special care needs student like classroom. But that classroom location is also kind of question mark because it's fully like see through like glass door.
Mm.
If I have to put it in a little bit bad way, I'll say like a zoo.
Oh, I see.
And then it's
Like a
it's
very
look
embarrassing.
yeah, and then it's located in the middle of the hallway.
Oh, okay,
Because
okay,
my
okay.
international school was like from kindergarten to high school.
Mm.
So it's like a big hallway,
Mhm.
like a company. So that's why for me it was very embarrassing and constantly getting overwhelmed. And a lot of kids in that age are not understanding what is wrong and right.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
most of people just follow what other people are saying.
Mhm.
So a lot of
People are
classmate
mean.
was
Yeah. Mhm.
being mean and then like talking about like bad things about me, like that you're not really good at studying,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
especially like from the Korean community back in the
Right.
time. So
Was it something that you did to yourself? Or is that what you're
I'll
saying?
say I should study more hard
Oh,
if
okay.
I like put myself a little bit more in a harsh way.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So you're like, okay, I probably should have studied more, but it wasn't a very embarrassing and kind of bad situation for
right.
you.
I was already like get pressured by being
Mm.
like embarrassed.
Yeah. Gotcha. If you could redo one thing, what would you do differently?
Hmm, that's a really good question because I was trying to think about that before, but when I realized, I think is that really important to like redo something or going back in the past and then
Of
thinking
course.
about like
Yeah. So let's
yeah,
say you had to redo something as a
okay,
thought experiment, right? Because most of my guests are the same. They're like,
right,
oh, you know, bad things happen, but I'm
yeah,
so glad for it because now I'm the way I am. But like as a thought experiment, if you
right.
could redo something, as what would you redo?
Well, if I really have to choose it, I'll say I want to like practice like art a little bit more earlier, like
Mm,
when I
oh,
was young.
sooner. Yeah.
Yeah, sooner when I was in like even in China, I should like just doodle something.
Oh, I see.
Just keep myself like drawing something.
Oh, okay. You
Yeah,
didn't start like drawing or doing art until later.
yeah. Actually, start to like practicing like actual like drawing and
Yeah, yeah.
stuff was from freshman year in high school. Yeah.
Oh, I see. I see. That makes sense.
Mm.
If you could give your younger self advice, what would it be now? Any age, any time period.
I'll say be honest.
From like how young,
Um,
or just anytime young.
anytime,
Gotcha.
honestly, I'll say any age. I just want to say be honest and then true to yourself. I think that's the two part that I want to like tell to my
Yeah.
old age.
Nice.
Yeah.
Is that because you feel like you weren't really like that as honest as you wanted to be when you're younger?
Oh yeah, I did. Yeah, I was because I was always get overwhelmed by the fact that how I get evaluated in the public. I think the big of like trigger was like how I experienced in international school in the first place. was like triggering me a lot. So I tend to like hype myself a lot. Like
Mm.
at that point, I didn't really know who I am. It's more like I just want to represent myself as just like decent, good person, good friend. And then I didn't really think about, do I actually need this or is it really necessary? It's more like for surviving purpose.
Mm. So it's kind of like you felt like you had to look good, be decent, presentable, but you felt like you were kind of putting up a mask or something.
Yeah,
You weren't being as honest as you wanted to be.
right.
That makes sense. Um, in the last few years, what new belief, behavior, or habit has improved your life?
Think there's a lot of things for me, but one of the biggest thing was is actually hmm, understanding like about myself a little bit more in a deeper level because I tend to have a lot of emotional disconnection about myself because of like where am I at? Because like most of the time I didn't really stay in the one physical environment. I always being in a different country,
Hmm.
always exposed in different like society. So that's why I was like, I don't have time to feel about this at the moment. The emotion that hitting me, for example, like whenever I left the country or left the place, I didn't feel like sad because I always talk to myself. I don't have time to be sad.
You're always constantly moving, doing
Yeah.
something, so you have no time to
Mhm.
feel that. So, what was you said the behavior or belief was, sorry, what was it again?
Just more be, I'll say like transparent with myself.
Okay.
Yeah.
How does one be more transparent with themselves? Like, let's say I'm asking as a person, okay, I want to be more transparent. I
Mm,
want to be more honest.
right.
How does one become more honest?
I think there's like point where you realize that, oh, I'm doing the bad thing over again. Like
Mm,
at that moment, I think I just swallow the words or I just pause myself. And then I feel a little bit like I feel very awkward myself, like a little bit like cringe or something.
oh, I see. It's like you can feel it when you are
Yeah.
not being like completely honest or transparent.
Yeah. It's like more have the like kind of like the sense. And if that hits me and I just like pause myself, wait a minute. And I was like, if I do this again, it'll be same again.
Mm,
And then even if that makes me will if I even if that will makes me embarrassed at that moment, I just let it be.
I see.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like being more aware of yourself, your intuition, how what you do and what you say, how it makes you feel,
Right.
and then taking a pause to reflect on that.
Hmm.
I like it. Who would you call successful, and how do you define success?
Wow, that's really a good question. I'll say people I don't have like single person, but people who out there who are um being a dad and then like managing their family like in a financial wise, emotional wise, everything, and then you know trying to live their life like peacefully. I think that is very like for me, it's very admired for me to like to be that type of like person.
Mm.
I'll say
Like a dad figure, like maintaining your household,
right.
being
It's not like
reliable.
more like manly like dad. It's more like the
Yeah.
dad has the full accountability
Mm.
and
Being
actually
reliable and accountable and
exactly
like being there and stuff like
yeah
that.
more like more actual like adult
Mm.
ish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's how you define success is like someone who can kind of portray that in their own life.
Mm.
That's sort of like good dad energy.
Yes.
Yeah, I see. Cool. If you knew you couldn't fail, what would you try or what would you be doing now?
Could you rephrase that
Yeah,
question
yeah,
for
yeah.
me?
So if you could do anything and
Mm.
you knew you would succeed, what would you be trying? Would it be different? Would it be the same? Would there be some new things you're like, oh, I've always been curious about doing that thing?
Mm. I think I will try to pursue becoming a like a not like completely like a fine dining like chef
Hmm.
or working in the fine dining industry. because I always love to do cooking on the
Mm,
side. Because a lot of my part-time job was like
food
being in the
related.
food, like
Mm,
working in the kitchen section and a different like cuisine. So I always thought the cooking is part of the art.
mm,
So
I like it.
maybe that's why I think that what if I was like working on the culinary industry?
Mm. So in a different universe, you're still an artist, but now in culinary.
Mhm.
Nice. What is one of the best or most worthwhile investments you've ever made in either time, money, or energy, or etc.?
I think the best investment was um, maybe having a decision to come all the way to the States,
Mm,
even if it's I don't have anyone else to know, like anyone else I know here. I just like take the big step to having the adventure. And of course, I at the time my art skills and everything as myself was everything was like I wasn't fully prepared. And but I strongly felt that if I don't give a try, I feel like I will regret or I will be just living in the past. So I was like, I'll try my full potential out there. And if I get any type of result in the end, I'll accept it. And then I'll move forward to the different thing that I need to figure out in my life.
I like it. You know that quote or that saying, which is like, there's only two pain in life. There's the pain of regret and the pain of discipline.
Mm,
So you choose your pain. Do
exactly.
you prefer one or the other? So I like
Yes.
it reminds you of that. Last two. What is your favorite recent purchase between $50 and $100 that has impacted your life the most in the last, let's say, 6 months?
Hmm. I will say, um, there's a lot of things that I purchased. I think now I realize.
You're like, I buy a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
First thing that comes to mind, you're like useful, not expensive, or like
Mm,
it helps me.
I'll say purchasing. I purchased one of my small like sketchbook for myself. I had like tons of sketchbook, but I want something is very like handy,
Mm,
so I can just carry it around anywhere without like feeling a little bit heavy or anything else. So that actually helped me a lot because that's how I start to enjoying the art, other than think as like
as like
type
work.
of like work or responsibility.
Mm,
Because art for me is a bit like my favorite. But at the same time, everything is tangled. For example, like getting the financial support from
yeah,
parents,
yeah.
getting a lot of like not I'll say expectation from my mentor, or everything is like could not be done by myself. So art is kind of for me is half responsibility, half my motivation.
Mm.
So, but that little sketchbook, which is like a couple of dollars, helps me to get into the art how it was used to be.
Like just the love of the hobby of the art instead of
Yeah,
just like as your career in your whole life.
exactly.
I like it. All right, so last one. Any favorite books, movies, videos, articles, or any media that you share or recommend the most?
Um, I think I love the one of it's also like the game thing, but I love the concept art book, which there's a one I recently purchased. I couldn't mention it all of your question because it's like over 100.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a big investment for me.
Oh.
I purchased the one of the game called Sky. It's a mobile game which doesn't have any text inside or doesn't have any violence contents inside. It's more like you playing the game and actually relaxing.
Mm.
So it's like kind of stress relieving like game. You see the beautiful like wall building or landscape, the colors and everything. So I love that type of game, which I wanted to create
Yeah.
in the future.
Yeah.
So I purchased that book. It's really like mind blowing because I can feel the process of how people create the game. Even if
That's
you are not artists,
yeah, yeah,
it
yeah.
looks very like
Oh,
relaxing. It's
yeah.
like you don't have to read that much, but you can tell what they're thinking. It's like you visiting the art gallery.
Mm.
Yeah.
Nice. So what was that called again? So I can link it.
The art of sky.
The Art of Sky.
Yeah.
You said it's a game.
hmm
Okay,
It's
cool.
a mobile game.
Mobile game.
Yeah.
Cool. I'll link to it. Nice. All right. We have reached the end. So this is the ending question. So first is gratitude. Shout out to my mom for teaching me this. So Ray, what are you grateful for?
I really feel grateful to having this opportunity through JR here, and I feel very grateful that I could have like actually shared this type of story because of the people who I met in my life, and then people who taught me, especially my mentor and my parents. I really appreciate that.
Nice. I love it. Any final ask from the audience or any final takeaways you want them to have from this conversation?
Mm, I'll say, what do you like most in your life? And then want to do you want to like pursue that dream or the goal or the love that you have in your heart? I think that's the question.
Mm, so a good question to like reflect on.
Hmm.
Nice. All right, so last one. Where can we find you, Ray? If people want to check out what you're doing or contact you or whatever.
I think there's a different way, but you can also visit my LinkedIn. You can just type Ray Lee, and then you'll see my picture, same as like the
Mhm.
face I have here.
His face.
Yes, and
Yeah.
then you can also find me on Instagram. It's a Ray Lee Art, and if you are a little bit interested in the art, you can also go on my portfolio website, which is starlightvision.com, and that's the way you can find me.
Perfect. Yeah, and I'll link all of it in the show notes so they'll be able to click that and go to it easily. So all right, Ray. Well, so we are done. So thank you for this great conversation and all of your insights for our audience. I'm sure they'll really appreciate it. So I'll do my final sign off. So thank you again to the audience for tuning in. Really appreciate you. Hopefully, you learned something. Reminder to always be kind to others, especially yourself, and that you can always learn something from someone if you take the time to listen. So thanks for tuning in.
Thank you.